Welcome to this teaching on worship. I'm sure if you've been in the church a long time, you have probably heard many teachings on worship and philosophies in regards to singing and music and how it should be conducted. I will touch a little bit on that, but what I wanted to do is define the word worship, because the word worship has a totally different meaning when you start looking in the Hebrew and the Greek versus looking in the dictionary for the definition of worship. So let's begin this teaching with some definitions. The first definition we're going to look at is Webster's, and it says to honor, reverence as divine being or supernatural power. And then also it's to regard with great extravagant respect, honor, or devotion. Example, a celebrity worshipped by her fans. If you look at Wikipedia, you will see the word worship as an act of religious devotion, usually directed toward a deity. The word is derived from the Old English worthscape, meaning worthiness or worthship. To give it at its simplest, worth to something. And the last definition that we'll look at is freedictionary.com. Their definition says the reverent love and devotion accorded a deity, an idol, or a sacred object, the ceremonies, prayers, or other religious forms by which this love is expressed. So here you have three different definitions of the word worship, and I believe that if you put all those definitions together, that is what the majority of the people would say that the word worship means. However, if you look in the Bible, it is a totally different meaning. What we'll do is we'll start with the Old Testament and the Hebrew, and we'll go through the New Testament as well. How I'm finding these definitions is I'm simply looking it up in the Strong's Concordance. Strong's Concordance is a dictionary that defines what the words are word by word in the Bible, and they have a New American Standard Version and a King James Version as well in regard to looking up those words, because how they put it in there is they'll have the word and then they'll have the number, and then you go look up that number and it will tell you what the Hebrew word for that word is. So what we're going to do is we're going to look up some of those definitions, and we're going to find out what the Bible has to say about worship. So the first word that you will come across when you look up the word worship in the Bible is the word shakal. If you look up the definition of the word shakal, it means to bow down, prostrate oneself. It is used in 165 verses, and you will find the verse in Genesis 22:5 that talks about worship. It says, Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. That would be the word shakal. Another verse would be Exodus 33:10, and it says, when all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise and worship, each at the entrance of his tent. That would also mean shakal, meaning to bow down. And like I said, 165 verses, you will find shakal. It is the most used of all the definitions. But there are some other definitions, so let's look at some of those. The second word that you will find is abad, and abad means to work, serve, or to serve as subjects. You can find abad in Exodus 3:12, where it says, and he said, certainly I will be with you, and this shall be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God at this mountain. The word worship in that verse is abad, and it means to serve. So you have to bow and you have to serve. When we talk about worship in the sense of the Bible, what it means to bow or to be a servant. Seems to me like they kind of go hand in hand. You can't just bow, you have to serve as well. So another verse that you can find abad in is Deuteronomy 6:13. You shall fear only the Lord your God, and you shall worship him and swear by his name. So those are two definitions. The next definition word is sagid, and that means the same thing as shakal, to prostrate oneself. It does add a little bit more, do homage, worship. The word sagid is used in Daniel exclusively. I don't know if it has something to do with them being in Babylon at that time, but you can find it in Daniel 3:28. It says, Nebuchadnezzar responded and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who put their trust in him, violating the king's command and yielded up their bodies so as not to serve or worship any god except their own God. So again, another word that means to bow. All through the Old Testament, you will find that the word worship means to bow or it means to serve.